Hey guys, welcome back to Bear Mountain Builds, and today I'm going to show you how to build and use my ultimate board straightening jig to turn this into this. Now, before I show you how to build this jig, I'm going to show you how it works. So let's get started. So the general premise for straightening a board is really simple. What you do is you take a board that has a very straight edge, could be a factory edge or something that you've cut. You'll take the board that you want to straighten and somehow you'll pin it to that board, and what you're going to do is take this whole unit and run it through a table saw with your straight edge up against the rip fence, and then that saw blade is going to cut a perfectly straight line on this board, and then you'll disconnect this board from your other board. You'll flip this over and run that new cut right along the rip fence, and it'll make a perfectly straight board. Now, what makes this so great is I've turned that random board into a reusable jig. So generally how you attach a board to your other board is with screws or glue. In this case, I've used some clamps. This way I don't have screws or glue ruining and marring this board, and instead I can just place it on here, put my clamps on it, and clamp it in place. Now I'm just using T-track and some vertical hold down clamps, which I'll have linked down below in the description if you're interested in checking them out. And just like that, the board is mounted all the way down, and I'll run this through the table saw up against the rip fence like this, cut that board along the line, and then I can just remove this board. And then you'll take that new cut line and run along the rip fence of your table saw again, and the board will be perfectly straight. Now, this can be a little bit confusing if you haven't seen it done before, so let's take this over to the table saw and I'll show you how it works. With that out of the way, let's straighten this warp board. I like to start by drawing the cut line I'll be making with my straight edge. Then I position that line as parallel as possible to my baseline on the jig. This helps maximize the amount of board that I'll be left after making the cut. I'm also making sure this line is hanging off the jig so I don't actually cut it as well. The clamps on this jig allow me to make precise adjustments to the board's position, which ensures I'm removing as little board as possible by cutting from corner to corner exactly on my line. After the first cut, you can pop the board off and send it right back through the table saw. You can see I maximized the size of the board and turned an unusable 2x8 into a perfectly straight, oversized 2x6. And just like that, we have a perfectly straight, rock solid board that is really fast and easy to make. Now, let me show you how to build the jig. This jig really is very simple and straightforward. I built it out of 2 layers of 1/2-inch MDF so that it will not warp, and cut it to 8 inches wide, which allows it to handle up to a 2x10. It's very important that these 2 pieces are perfectly flat to each other, so I'm using lots of glue and lots of clamps. With the glue set, I'm running the jig through the table saw to square off the edges. I'm cutting the T-track 1/8 of an inch shorter than the width of the jig in order to keep it from hanging off either edge. I routed out a 3/4 inch wide, 3/8 inch deep slot so that the T-track is flush to the top of the surface, using my speed square as a fast, easy guide and my 20-volt Dewalt router. I routed a slot 1.5 inches from either end and 2 more spaced equidistant from each other. This jig is 53 inches long and can handle boards up to 60 inches long, and I added a couple T-tracks in the middle in order to clamp shorter board lengths. If you want to know more about routing T-track, you can check out my How to Route a T-track video linked up in the corner. I pre-drilled all the T-track holes, added a drop of glue, and used a 3/8 inch coarse thread wood screw, making sure not to over tighten. And with that, this jig is done. The board straightening jig turned out great. It's fast, it's efficient, and I'll never have to throw away any warp boards again. So I hope you guys learned something and that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, hit the like button for me. It helps me out a ton and I really appreciate it. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my future projects, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the jig, if you have any improvements on it. I read all your guys' comments. They're super great. I really do appreciate everything you guys say. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Weird. People like things in focus?
I'm going to adjust you just a little bit here. Wow, I just touched it and everything went out of focus. How bizarre.
Don't touch it. Stop touching it.
No,
Stop touching it. Stop it.